Oh, yeah.
This is episode number 458, WordPress and an industry in flux.
That ampersand should be, I just want to move it to the up.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at jasontucker.blog.
Oh, I'm Say Reed, and I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress at Say Reed Mina on the things, and I'm killing all the flies today. That's not a metaphor.
And y'all know who it is. It's your boy Jason Cosper, aka the Large Language Model, back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
Speaking of that, go find us wherever it is that awesome podcasts can be found, and you can come hang out with us in our Discord.
Okay.
Say was very serious. She has one of those zapping fly swatters. Hey, and Doc's in the chat as well as host.
Okay, my office. I'm so hot now because I just went on a marathon fly murdering session.
That's why we're late. That's why we're 4 minutes late. Is because we just got to spend about 6 or 7 minutes watching Sage just go shithouse crazy murder rage on flies.
So, they're not actually kidding. I'm just gonna put this over here. I left my office door open. That's what I did. And it's summertime in California.
Yep.
It's hot, and the flies were like, "There's coffee in there. Go eat that coffee." Hey, not to get us off track before we even get on the track,
Please do.
I was working really late this night, until 4:30. And around, I don't know. So I was waiting for a site to propagate. I was having DNS problems because it's 2023 and no one's figured out DNS. My favorite thing is when they're like, yeah, could be a couple hours, could be 2 days. It's like when you reach the point in quantum physics where you're like, I guess I just believe in fairies. And that's what's happening. It's like you reach the point where everyone's like, we don't really know what happens with the DNS. It's just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, hosts have started to set TTLs on the timeouts for DNS way low.
I know. No, Bluehost, which is where I was transferring from, obviously, set a 4-hour minimum, and I was like, you can just go stick your 4-hour minimum right somewhere. Is what you
600 seconds, baby. 600 seconds.
Yeah, come on. Anyway, my point in saying this was not to complain about DNS, although it's kind of I also had a caching problem yesterday. So I just
These are things that we've never had problems with. It's so weird.
I know.
So
I'm
unique.
literally what year is it? I just can't believe this isn't solved. Around, I don't know, 4 a.m. or somewhere in there. You can go timestamp it. The whole WordPress.org website went down.
Well, hey, DNS. So is DNS.
Exactly. It was an upstream thing. I just thought it was really funny because I was writing marketing notes for the marketing meeting during the
It's literally on the laptop. And if it's not that,
Jason,
then it's TLS.
Jason just held up a sticker that said, "Sorry, I'm late. It was DNS." So anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Point is, DNS sucks. No, the point is, even WordPress.org can be down, and they were like, "Oh no, it's upstream. It wasn't our thing. Some server somewhere having a problem." All the make sites, all the .org sites, everything was down. And fun though is everyone jumped into the meta channel and reported it from everywhere. They're like, it's out in India, it's out in Australia, because they were all awake. And me, sure. I was like, it's out in California.
Speaking of influx, geez.
Well, exactly. So it's not totally unrelated, but I think I could segue into it because I like to segue into things. We have problems that have been here for a long time. So we have, obviously we've talked a lot about technical debt, but we have not really talked about industry debt. And the checks that the tech industry has been writing that their body can't cash or whatever, that's probably an inappropriate expression, right? Oh no, it's don't write a check that your mouth can't cash or something, or
yeah.
your fist can't cash something. If you can't cash the check,
then get a different bank account.
Get a different bank account. Yeah. Stop committing fraud. Yeah. Anyway, we have these problems that have been accumulating. Obviously, there's the big ones, racism, sexism, all that fun stuff. But there's also a lot of industry debt in not just all the big checks that everyone's been writing to everybody for so long. And I feel like that has really, in the last few months, I think that I have felt, not personally, because I don't work for anyone. I work, for my clients, but I don't work for a company. But I feel that all those salaries that everyone was getting at Twitter or other social networks that are now looking like they weren't so much of an investment as they were just like pouring money down a tube. Because if you're still having to buy crabs to support your habits, your social media habits,
this was a new currency to me, but it was funny when it was funny when you brought it up.
You could just look it up. But whatever it is, right? Whether it's Elon saying, I want your $8, or other people say it's, the cost, the literal the literal economical cost of the overvaluation of the tech industry has come to be called in before.
Yeah.
I remember. Not everyone's old enough to remember that, but I am. And it feels like it's coming around again, and in a different way. It's coming around again in a human capital.
Yeah.
Cost.
I mean, if there's not a school that everyone goes to that teaches you about the trials and tribulations of the tech industry. And so when you enter the tech industry, you don't come with this idea of here's all the things that went wrong last time we went through this thing. And I know it's such a great idea for you to come up with, and it's so original for this decade. But by the way, this shit happened last decade, and we hurt hard because of it. So
yeah, we hurt hard financially, and then they're just doing it again. Like they've done the exact same thing. Like what it comes down to, right, with Twitter and everything, is that it's just it's not making money. And now we have more of them not making money.
Yeah, I mean, you had like Verizon and Yahoo, and you have just think of all the different ones that are there. It's just like there's so many of those things that just have just consolidated. You got Microsoft trying to buy Activision right now. There's like all sorts of those sorts of things that are happening in this industry.
We have even the open source debt that is accumulating, and the very obvious, very coming up clash, very ever-present clash between open source and corporate, which I feel like I'm sort of trying to get a little bit of headway on, maybe avoid the worst crash component of it. But I mean, you've got Microsoft is in an amazing space right now. Who knew, right? Through an investment in GitHub and in LinkedIn Learning. I mean, someone knew, obviously, because this is a strategy. They're just randomly doing stuff. But they've got GitHub, they've got LinkedIn Learning, they've got OpenAI, they've got Bing is horrible, so I don't count that. That doesn't. They have a foot, they've got.
Thank you for binging to find your way to a WPwatercooler. It was great.
It's like, I really just want to say to Microsoft, stop trying to make Bing happen. Okay. As a dated 90s reference for any of you who did never see Clueless. But yeah, so like these problems. So the Elon era of social media, which I should christen it, we should call it that now, has really ushered in, I think, along with, of course, all of the COVID, backlash, the people, the how much do workers cost? How much do remote workers cost? WordPress has been, because of Matt Mullenweg and Automatic and his distributed focus, has been, kind of on the leading edge of that for a long time. But there are also costs there. I don't know if any of you, I don't know if it was I don't know if it was a podcast or an article, because I read everything in transcripts, but he recently had there was a show where they were talking about, or maybe it was WP Briefing. I don't know, some content somewhere from the project. It's a great source. Was talking about how no, it wasn't the project. It was Automatic. They were talking about their meetups and how they have not had their meetups for the past few years because, COVID and travel and all of that. And they talked about the amount of money that they're putting into in-person meetings for the teams and the grand meetup and all of that. And so there is, because even a fully distributed company acknowledges that there has to be some component of in-person interaction to really make it work. Otherwise, there's just a bunch of people floating around. And then it turns out that people cost money. I don't know. We keep forgetting this part.
I thought you just pay them once and then you just duplicate them over and over again with AI. Yeah. Isn't that what's supposed to happen?
I think that's I think that's what they're hoping is going to happen. And I don't want to point the finger at anyone in general, because everyone is trying to figure out how to make AI work, right? Everyone's trying to see, like, how can we cut costs by implementing AI solutions. And, speaking of Matt, he posted about another, Learn This Deeply missive in, I believe it was actually it was an announcement, right? You told me it was an announcement on the Slack Make channel, where he posted Mark Andreessen. I don't know how to say his last name.
Andreessen.
Okay. Yeah. His missive about a missive about AI and the impact. And at one point I had commented on something, again, somewhere, that hopefully as we're implementing these AI solutions, we can keep in mind that it could make the people that we have more innovative and iterate faster and take the process and make it better and faster and smoother, instead of gutting all the people and rebuilding an entire infrastructure based on AI. I don't know. Just seems like, that might cost less, but what are we building? Like, what are we getting towards here? Like, that's what I see happening. That is one of the industry trends that I see happening, which is that it's the economy or the market or whatever, or it's AI, but there is a strong industry trend of, let's say, there's been layoffs, there's been actual layoffs, but there have also been just firings. What, like within, and this is not one company, it's not a single company that's doing this. This is a lot of companies.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know any of the technical legal differences between a layoff and a firing, and I'm sure that there are some. So I'm not going to make any legal claims that anyone is laying people off and not abiding by, labor protection rules.
Sure.
That's not my job.
Right.
I don't want that to be my job. But I will point out that it is happening, whatever you want to call it, whatever the rules you want to follow for it. People are losing their jobs. And it makes me wonder, like, this is what happened in 2008, right? Like, we just did a huge, big, everyone cut their human capital and then reinvested and then, like, kept getting rich again, and just uses the people in it like automaton.
Yeah, to think about it, really, this is kind of a combination of the bubble bursting in the late 90s, early 2000s, and
is that when that was? I can never remember.
Yeah, and then the crunch that happened through 2008. As we kind of,
it's both.
So there's economic turmoil. There are these things that are very much something that you got into a little earlier, is this, like, corporate consolidation. We see WordPress businesses kind of, even just in WordPress, not to speak of tech, but we see WordPress plugin businesses, theme businesses, etc., get rolled up by these larger players, and they turn into what Cory Doctorow and Rebecca Giblin in their book Choke Point Capitalism refer to as like choke points, where effectively you have to go to like just a very small handful of players to get something done in almost any space. You want to buy an audiobook, or you want to read books. Okay, well, you can buy the physical book at Amazon. You can also get the audiobook through them. Oh, well, I'm more of an ebook reader. Well, they got one of those too. And they're the most dominant in all three. They're like alternatives to their platform, but they work so hard with this like vertical integration that you end up seeing things like that, and you end up seeing this stuff in WordPress businesses too. Like I looked what used to be called WPDB Migrate from Delicious Brains, now shortened to WP Migrate. I saw their plugin page on the WordPress plugin directory, and it's WP Migrate, and it threw me for a second because it said the developer instead of Delicious Brains was WP Engine. And I just saw
one of those as well, a search and replace plugin, because we were talking about that last week. Whatever, they have one of those too.
Yeah,
and that raises complications from the Jonathan Wold had brought that up, that why would Bluehost, for example, or any other hosting company want to feed their customers and equip them with tools from other hosting companies? Because a few years ago at WordCamp Long Beach, here in Long Beach, they had this like new thing. It was like WP Engine's like digital experience. There was like a blip in time where there was like I don't remember what that term was. It was like a
DXP.
DXP, right? Exactly. It was like
digital experience platform.
Right. I don't know where that went. It was like a buzzword for a minute, and everyone was like, we bring you everything, and that's when they partnered with HubSpot also. And so they're just really trying to put it all into one bucket. And, that is a really that has really interesting implications for a community like WordPress.
Yeah.
Because that chokehold is financial. Like, because then there only become certain players in the industry. So even for like sponsorships, like you can't sponsor a WordCamp with like 2 companies, or 3 companies. You know what I mean? You need that breadth.
But you may, because you're going to have 900 of these products, and they're all going to be owned by like 3 hosting companies. And
right. So they'll all have a different brand. All their different brands will be there, but like they're all actually owned by the same
all showed
people.
Up on the same plane, and then they all came in and they go like, I already know about these products and services that are being offered because I was in the meetings when these things were acquired by these little guys who, we scooped them up, and now we have our search and replace plugin and our SEO plugin and our caching plugin and our form plugin. It's like, come on, guys, this is all, you're building your own little infrastructures.
Fiefdoms. They're building little fiefdoms, like feudal lords.
Exactly.
Right.
So this is why we have these problems.
Now we have feudal lords, like digital feudal lords is what.
And this is why we have these problems at these meetups and these WordCamps and stuff, where everyone who's there works for the little company that used to be the search and replace plugin or whatever.
Right.
Who are now they work for hosting companies, and then the hosting companies are like, oh, look, all 4 of us hosting companies showed up and all 96 of our products.
Right. Yeah.
Let's walk around the 4 booths that we have here.
it's like it's not just eating itself. It is literally the Aurora
It is
Borealis
itself.
eating itself. Like it's
It
literally
is
like the
itself.
hosting companies are like marketing to the other hosting company representatives. At what
And then
point
they're
are
trying
we
to
all
just
just
give
like,
away the TVs that they all brought, that they just bought at Walmart. And now they're trying to get rid of them at their booth, and they're just going to
so they don't have to
TVs.
fly home with them.
They're just going to exchange TVs before they leave, and then that's it.
Right.
It's I don't know. It's weird. You know,
maybe
so weird.
Maybe
so
we should have a book club or something like that, because specifically in
have a
Choke
book
Point
club.
Capitalism,
that's a great idea.
It's like
Yeah.
doctors
How have we
working
never
on
thought
other
of the water
doctors.
cooler book club before? I've been trying to spin up a book club for Word. I don't. Sometimes I
Okay,
just don't see.
please.
Obvious
All right.
shit.
We'll
Sorry.
make it happen.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but
Sorry.
in Choke Point Capitalism, they specifically discuss anti-competitive flywheels, which basically like lock
No, wait.
in.
Not to be confused with Flywheel.
I mean,
bought by WP Engine. Sorry, I just had to.
They're just in that case, they're
Who
just
wants
saying the quiet part out loud, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But effectively, these companies rolling things up to lock in users because, hey, we bought Genesis. We bought, look at, not to just pick on WP Engine, I'll pick another example.
They
Take
own a lot of properties.
GoDaddy. They bought Skyverge and they bought Pagely, and now like they have a WooCommerce offering that they say, oh, we can offer these extensions that you would have to buy on the WooCommerce marketplace, because those Skyverge extensions are still available on the WooCommerce marketplace. But hey, we include them here for free. Ain't that neat? Like,
and then they're just paying for like a multi-user license.
Exactly.
And then they just like literally license, like it's not even a different model or anything.
They're not even
someone's going in with a credit card from their like buying the
These are called value adds, my friends. Value adds.
Exactly. They're not even doing what places like Liquid Web / Nexus is doing, where for their managed WooCommerce stuff, they like developed partnerships with people. They did buy some companies, you'll get Cadence for free if you are on Liquid Web. But see, it gets you this lock-in, because then it's like, oh, I built my site on top of Cadence and I'm using some of these premium features. So you have to start thinking, oh, shit, if I'm going to move from Liquid Web to WP Engine, to DreamHost, to SiteGround, whatever, you're like, okay, now you have to do the mental calculation of what is this new plan that I'm going to cost? Also, what does my yearly license look like for Cadence? Because now I'm locked in. Or I try to untie myself from that and go over to some sort of like other theme that's either cheaper or free or whatever, and you have to like maybe redesign your site a little bit, because things don't, even though the block editor has made switching themes a lot easier, you're still running into these issues where things don't look quite right, so you got to tweak something.
And now we're back to DNS.
This whole thing locks the users into these companies. And as Jonathan touched on when he was on here, it makes the market, the WordPress market at large, hostile to new entrants in the space.
Right, which decreases innovation, which decreases participation. And we already, also has an impact in the Make community, because if you have people who are advocating not necessarily for things they believe in or things that they want, but what they're being told that is, in alignment with company strategy, whatever company that is, then that puts all of these unspoken agendas and strategies, because you're not sitting there going, well, I'm trying, like, who can I say? Like, Bluehost strategy is to do XYZ and to be there for this, that's not something that you're saying, right? That's not happening in Make meetings or anything, but that that strategy, that those goals, those are still there. They're just not being acknowledged. Right. They're not being dealt with. They're not, they're being like, and honestly, this is a part of the reason why the WPCC is a great idea, because it could be a neutral third party as the link between Make and the companies, because no matter what, and no matter which company, if someone works directly for a company and that is their volunteering time, they are going to have to choose their company. If it comes down to that, they just are, because that is where their job comes from. Like, and they may want to choose the community, but like they can't. And, speaking of all the firings, it's really disruptive to the Make community. I can speak personally to this. If someone is let go from a company that had some sponsored time, and was filling a role, and then is just basically disappeared.
And you lose the skill, you use the labor, you lose the information that they already had gathered.
Yeah.
You lose a
and it's
lot
always
of
jarring.
pieces.
Yeah.
You lose a passionate person who was dedicating time to something, dedicating time to, in a lot of cases, hosting companies, whoever is sponsoring people to work on stuff, doesn't say, we want you to work on this thing. They let people.
Well, they don't now. There is this unspoken kind of word there, but this is what I see happening along with that same trend. Like, if that trend, at a certain point in time, deliverables are important to especially larger companies. Like, you just, like, there's no escaping that. It is capitalism. It is the foundation of Western and, I guess, global society at this point, sadly.
Yeah.
But like, we can't just be like, no, we're all here with not trying to get any, I'm just here out of the goodness of my heart. But there is that unspokenness. And I absolutely believe that the people who are contributing as sponsored contributors are part of the community. I don't feel like they're like secret, well, not all of them are not secret, agents, double agents trying to like accomplish things. There are those people do exist.
Oh, sure.
But it just, also then when someone is let go or whatever, like, they lose their community and the community loses them, because, it can become, that was your job that you were like, you're laid off from or whatever. And it's like, do you really want to hang out there for free now? Like, that's like, so it's built.
So what's the balance for that then?
I don't know. I mean, I think
for instance, honestly, if you're somebody like you and I, and we're just doing this out of the goodness of our heart, like we do this show literally out of the goodness of our heart. I don't know if you saw the 9 web hosting companies that we did, the intros for before we started this whole, podcast, all the different ads that we had to run and everything for all the stuff that one web host has. But
that's sarcasm, by the way.
Yeah. But it's like, we don't have that, but we can choose to stop doing this, and we can choose to do
keep
more
doing
of this.
it. Yeah,
but if you're working for somebody who's sponsoring you, you don't get to you don't have a choice in it, other than you chose, maybe, I guess, to actually initiate the conversation of wanting to be the person for that organization to, go and, volunteer the time in which that they're being paid for, to kind of go and help out. But if you leave that stinks.
Right, because it is, especially when you're there in the WordPress community, it really is, because you're with a bunch of other volunteers, so you're not wearing your company hat
that are all being paid. I don't know, it just seems like, weird.
It's just more like that. The idea is, right, that my problem with it is not sponsored contribution in no way. I think that's vital to this working at all. And it has been vital to it getting this far. My problem is the unspokenness of it.
Right.
It is we're not going to look at that because it's uncomfortable, because some people might have to be more transparent with their business practices, or people might be more transparent about real costs or what they're really trying to accomplish, or I don't even know, because because it's so unspoken. And that, I think those unspoken areas are what cause friction, because other than that, I feel like everyone really is trying to like get to the same goal and, support this project. And there is this love for the project in there that bonds people together. And I've definitely seen people who it seems that they are working sort of against what they are wanting to do for whatever reason. And again, for any company, I'm not singling out any specific company here, nor am I faulting any company for this. Why would it be different?
Or the people that were being used to, volunteer into this, be the ones that
does
are
that
contributing.
come up automatically, that overtime button?
Nah,
it's all me, baby.
Just that good.
Oh, you're just that good. I was like, that was literally like on the second. I was like, wow, because we're in overtime. I didn't even notice, but
it makes me think that I've been sitting here while you're talking and trying to come up with like parallels, and I don't know if this one's right. So give me a moment here, but it's almost if you were not a very popular person, and then your family paid to have a bunch of people show up to your your funeral.
Or your birthday
party. And then they all wanted to go to a convention after to talk about like the industry that you were working in. And now other people are also showing up that same way. It seems like, I don't know, it just seems like there's so much more of like a disconnect. Yeah. It's like you thought you were a part of a thing, but you're really just paid to be a part of a thing. But then like you actually ended up going to like a WordCamp, and now you are being paid to be part of a thing. Right. But then there's other people that are in the same situation that you're in. I don't know. It seems rough to me. Like, I'm wondering how many people in WordCamps, now that we're in overtime here, it's a different whole situation, but like how many people that are in WordCamps actually show up to the WordCamp that aren't tied to any of this stuff? That are just
that was
like
a big complaint at WordCamp US last year.
Who's
it was
me
majority.
Who's the me and Says that are showing up? I mean, Cosper works for a place, but like Say and I, we just show up. Like, we're not being paid.
He doesn't get paid to show up here, but
we're not paid to show up.
We don't
we're not
either.
Paid to travel there, and we're not paid to like speak or anything. So like at that point, I am like disincentivized to be there because other than me shaking hands and kissing babies, there's not much else to really do, which is why I just kind of hang out outside or pick up some information while going into a couple of the talks that I go into.
In the community, that same thing plays out because, there's like, we're trying to do work, right? Trying to create, and that's what I've been doing in the marketing committee is like gathering like, oh, we need to promote this. We need to help people with this. And so, there's all this work to do. And, so we have these collaboration sessions, and it's like at the end it's like, all right, well, can you do that? Because you'll get paid to do it. And I have to go work on client work. Like, so I can get paid. Right. Otherwise I am doing it. Like, so the in terms of like the volunteer capability, like, I'm just like, I think you should do this work. And, even if I want to do it, like they should do it because they're getting paid to do it. And if you don't acknowledge it, like I'm pretty open about that just because I'm not great at, hidden things. It's not my specialty. So, I acknowledge that. Like I've said that directly. I'm like, well, can you work on this as part of your actual paid job? Then here's the work, right? And that offsets the power balance, of course, inevitably, because I've talked about before, it's really hard for people who aren't sponsored in some way to lead a team or to be on a release lead squad or to really contribute on a consistent ongoing basis, because there's a lot going on and it's a lot to stay up with, and it's not directly tied to client work all the time, right? It's not actually like I learn a lot about, all the new stuff in WordPress all the time, but like, I don't necessarily always turn around and use that for my clients. Like, so it's not like it's like professional development. So the interesting thing though, is that we got onto this topic a lot, coming back to like just the bigger thing of like the corporations who are all laying people off and, trying to use AI to solve problems and doing consolidation, but also actively utilizing open source in those communities. Like Facebook open sourced their learning language model, not their model, but their, I don't know, the thing after the model. I'm still trying to get my head around LLMs. It's a big topic. But like, Facebook open sourced it's some of its AI stuff, like what it did with React, because then it still has its hooks in everybody. It doesn't want people to be using just JavaScript or just PHP because
Right.
you control it. But it does control React. Like Meta controls React. And so it gives it a way to keep everybody here. And like, so open source and
Meta came very close to controlling PHP and WordPress too when they released their hip hop virtual machine HHVM. That for a while was like a PHP based, but like also using their PHP based language hack. But it made things that ran on it under just raw PHP, and they focused specifically on making WordPress performance good too. It made things so much faster. That's why we skipped from PHP 5.6 to 7, because they were making such a big jump in development because HHVM was like pushing them forward. Now, Facebook has abandoned that because PHP basically got better. They might still be using HHVM like internally, or at least Hack. I know that they're using Hack internally still, but they saw that chance to like do the embrace, extend, extinguish plan, and it just didn't work out for them there.
Ooh, that is a great. I haven't heard that before. Embrace, extend, extinguish.
Oh yeah.
Because they preach the embrace, extend, but no one talks about the extinguish part. But that's what everyone does with like, you know, end of lifing things that they buy up.
Yep.
Like that's,
which is like a Google
specialty.
Specialty at this point.
Right? Exactly, Otto. Facebook eventually abandons everything.
I wanted to go back real quick regarding a thing that we were talking about with just the like I have a feeling that somebody in this industry who is passionate about this type of information, I would love to see a family tree of family trees of, you know, like you see those places where it's like, here's Nestle and here's the 900 products that Nestle has. I would love to see one of those, but
for the tech industry,
but for the WordPress industry.
Oh,
like
well, I mean, let alone the tech industry. Jeez.
Yeah, like
you're right. Even the WordPress industry, it's like a fractal. Like you keep zooming in, and it just keeps getting like more and more.
And then what I would love to see is the inverse of it, which is all the products that are still sitting there that haven't been acquired yet. Like how many of the form plugins just haven't been acquired yet, or how many?
Don't give anybody a to-do list, please.
Okay, hold on. But I'm not going to give anyone a to-do list, but I did notice for the first time, I noticed yesterday, I'm using Ninja Forms on a site for a client, and I went to do an update, and I was reading the notes because I always read the update notes, and I was like, who's Saturday Drive?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's who develops Ninja Forms now. Do you know who Saturday Drive is? I don't. I was like, I don't have time to click on this right now, but like, first of all, that's a weird name. I kind of like it. But it's not Ninja Form related at all. Like, the Ninja people WP Ninja has been around for a long time. But now they're not. I didn't even know that it happened.
Yeah, these are itches that have been scratched by, typically it's an agency. An agency goes like, man, I really hate all these form plugins. I want to make my own. So they make their own. And then they offer it up and everybody loves it. And then somebody scoops it up. Or
an agency buys the agency buys it in order to like have the passive revenue, right? Everyone's passive revenue. Even though software takes money, it's not the same thing as like a course. Everyone should just remember that.
Right.
Because of the aforementioned, this will bring us right back. Because of the people. That's right. There's people in these equations.
Because of the
I think honestly, if we're talking about the tech trends that are the most concerning, I love AI and I use it all the time. But like I said, I feel like it can augment what we do. And I think very much so that the Silicon Valley tech bro is all about just replacing the people and not caring at all about, they can just make whatever they want and they don't have to worry about paying it health insurance or, time off for their kids, concert at school or whatever.
All the capitalist wants to do is make a widget quicker, cheaper, maybe even not more
even better,
more effectively. Right, not even better.
Not even better.
It if in fact, if it wears out quicker, great, you got to pay
right,
for another
more obsolete, more like the second launch is always like, well, we're going to keep these in the pro versions. Oh, and now we're making 3 tiers instead of 2 tiers. So you have your free tier, but we've limited that now to like 10 entries. That's all you got. Like that's really so that is happening. So that's the tech trend, right? Just all that consolidation, all of the AI, the economy, and that is all, we are not immune from it, and we are not in a bubble. Like that is happening. It's just happening on the WordPress scale. Yeah. And so I think I'm not like trying to like raise alarm bells necessarily, other than the actual alarm bells that are already going off, right? Because they're already ringing. I don't have to ring more.
I think one thing that we're kind of bringing to light here is the fact that if you were to leave an organization or that's a subsidiary of a subsidiary, that you leave them and you want to go work for somebody else, you may have like 6 options.
Yeah, 6 other options. There are. Yeah,
and you'll go deep. You either go deep into the stack or you go very shallow into the stack of who it is that you're working for, and then you can move around within it. Now you can work for a web hosting company, but then you could also work for a forms company. And look, by the way, now you're working for some other thing.
What is missing from that model that you just constructed is the consolidation. So with the consolidation, there's now one person in marketing for all of those products. So before there was an individual marketer. Right. Yeah. And then they all get fired.
Marketing always gets fired first.
It does. It's true. But now I'm thinking about people in marketing being fired. But basically, with all of those consolidations, it's not just marketing. It's also developer roles, right? It's like, okay, well, you can work a little bit over here and a little bit over here, and I don't have to pay a whole other person to do this role because we've consolidated, especially if it's remote and distributed, because then you don't even have to pay any costs to consolidate. You don't have to move anybody. You just hook them up on the Zoom, and now you're like, great, okay.
And
now you're fired because...
You don't even have to look them in the eye when you fire them. You look them in the webcam and say, hey, it's been great. Thank you. And then you still have the awkward conversation.
The HR looks them in the face and does that.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Everyone's staring at their own video when they instead of looking into the camera.
They get to watch their own face. Oh yeah, like the person delivering it is watching themselves be compassionate, and then the person who's receiving it is just watching their own face, like receive bad news.
And it's just a deep fake the whole way through. All of them are deep faking each other.
Right.
And there's a cat on their shoulder also.
But at the end of the day, the guilty feeling drifts away the second you close the tab on that meeting that you're having.
Right. There's no actual feeling there because you aren't getting their vibe. You don't have to be part of that. So the ease in which people can be thought of as numbers in a distributed company is much greater in a distributed company or in a mostly remote company than it is in an in-person company, because you literally it's a different experience. And even, like I said, even the fully distributed companies know that you need some in-person time in order to do that. But if you just take all the good stuff and put that in person and take all the bad stuff and put that on Zoom, like there was a Star Trek episode about that. Like the people shed their negative feelings and their negative parts and then moved to another planet, and then they left the black goo of their hatred and all their anger on a planet, and it killed some people. But anyway,
was this the original series, or
no? This was the Next Generation. I'm sorry to everyone.
No, this is great. I mean, there's something.
Go watch that episode.
There's something there though, because you're essentially leaving this evil ghost that is just floating around. That is
exactly,
and that could be
it's
the
fake.
whole.
It starts to feel all of it fake, because you're not just like even in the community, we're not speaking about this thing that's just evident. Like it's evident, like it is clear, and we all know that someone is getting paid to be here. See, it killed Tasha Yar. Yeah, there you go. We're all on the same page here. Okay, thank you. It's the unspokenness of someone who is a sponsored contributor not necessarily feeling confident saying, hey, I'm paid to do that, and so I'm going to do this, not try to take it over, but just do some more of that grunt work or take on that thing. And I don't think that non-sponsored contributors can feel comfortable asking that type of thing because it is so unspoken. And there's so much, let's say, inconsistency, to be kind, but there's a lot of inconsistency in the amount of hours that are said that they are pledged as sponsored hours and the actual amount of paid hours that are being spent on make projects specifically. That comes into what people consider, Five for the Future contributions, like on their different contributions day. It's like not actually always bigger companies to have these contribution day. It's not always about really contributing to make it all. It's about contributing to the different, like maybe a plugin that the company has that leads to a freemium or it leads to a premium plugin, or, some other thing that isn't necessarily actually contributing to make. So, because we don't talk about it, because we haven't defined this, because we don't even say what our expectations are, it's all over the map, and everyone feels uncomfortable about it because it's tied up with money and jobs, and that's difficult for everybody. It's tied up in, no one knows. We're talking about across companies even, so it's even a more difficult conversation than if you were talking to someone in your own company where you could expect some salary parity or some management parity. But when we're talking about all these different people from all these different companies, trying to have these, not having these conversations for a million reasons, cultural reasons, appropriate reasons. There's no space in Make to have these conversations.
Yep.
So we just have all of this stuff that is built up, that is happening around us. It's like there's not just one elephant in the room. There's like 10. I should write a blog.
And they all work for 3 web hosts.
Yeah. No, there's 3 web hosts and just one volunteer. That's what
outro.
Yeah. 3. Okay. I'm gonna write that blog post.
I do want to put a exclamation mark, a period, or something at the end of the sentence, and that is that we respect all of you that do the work that we've been talking about here. And I know we've been joking a lot about it.
Greatly.
And I know that, and I don't want to make it sound like we've been belittling or any of those sorts of things regarding the type of work that you do. I think it needs to exist, but I think that the infrastructure that's in place may need to have some rethinking or some retooling to kind of get it to a place where
we just need to admit it's there.
I mean, we're great at bringing out our soapbox and we stand on it.
Therapy. The first thing you have to do to deal with an issue is acknowledge it exists.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the first step to healing, everybody. I don't know if you know this, but it is. And that's what we're doing. We're repressing things. We're repressing things in the tech industry for sure. But we are also repressing things in WordPress. We're repressing conversations. We're repressing innovation. We're repressing relationships. There's a lot of repression happening. I won't say anything about it being, the tech industry and all the cis white men that all need to go to therapy.
If this content was interesting to you, if you feel this content was interesting, should be interesting for somebody else, please click the little share button, click the like button, share it out to the various social networks that still exist that aren't owned by host companies yet, and we should be
or Elon.
Or Elon. Yeah. Here's our outro. Yeah. Thanks.
Wow.
We'd appreciate
Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Hey. And on the Federation. Speaking of the Federation, Federated